right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first virtual VIMS Marine Science Day, supported by Dominion Energy. We're so excited to have you with us today and to have attendees that are viewing from all over the world. That's amazing for us. So my name is Kaitlyn Clark. I'm a graduate student at VIMS, and I'll be your host for this session. In this session, we are happy to have Virginia Sea Grant's digital storyteller, Aileen Devlin, with us to discuss her career path and her role at VIMS. So welcome, Aileen.
Hi. Okay, so I guess I'll just start off. My story is a little different. I guess I started off kind of in the news world. So I was an art major with a concentration in photography, and then I also worked for the newspaper at the college that I went to. So that was kind of the beginning of my documentary journalism world. Then I got a job out of college at the newspaper in that city that I worked at. I was there for about 5 years, and then I, needed a new challenge. So I came to Virginia to a bigger area, bigger newspaper, and worked at that newspaper for a while. I guess I started realizing that I wanted to kind of shift my focus into just doing more environmental and nature-based journalism. And so it took me a while to figure that out and figure out how to make that shift. And I just was looking around and found Virginia Sea Grant, and it seemed like the perfect fit, and they love me and still love me till this day, which is great. And so a little bit about what I do. My title is digital storyteller. So I do photo, video, social media, anything like that for Virginia Sea Grant with the researchers, professors, graduate students that we fund through our organization. And we are a NOAA-based organization, by the way. So we go out in the field. I have another person on my team is a staff writer. So we're kind of a tag team. I do the visuals. She does the writing. We go out with the students, with the researchers, and document what they do. And we prepare nice articles. We do online presence for them. It's kind of a mixed bag of things. We provide interview skills for them, social media skills, and really just great stories and visuals for the researchers to use for presentations, just anything to really talk about their work. So I think it's kind of a group effort. It helps everybody out with what we do in communications. So I hope that was a quick, good run through what I do.
Yeah, that's amazing. So along with that, so I'm going to ask, what's your favorite part of your job?
Oh, definitely the field work. I mean, there's nothing better than going out with everyone and seeing what they're doing. I wasn't a science background. Oh, I think that's important to note, actually. I was not a science background. I was an art major that very little schooling of science. So it was kind of a weird transition, and I feel like a little bit of an oddball, but it's really amazing to get to go out with these researchers and scientists and learn what they're doing and try to help communicate it to people that were like me when I was in school, because I was in such a different field. So yeah, just learning what they're doing, being able to go out with them, hang out with them. Everybody's just so fun when they're in the field. So that's definitely the best part.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's see, maybe if you could walk us through what a typical day might look like for you. And I know that your job changes day to day, but some idea of a typical kind of, how that goes.
So yeah, it does vary day to day. I mean, if we have field work, usually it kind of means getting up early, crack of dawn with the scientists, going out before the sun rises, on boats all day, getting dirty, all my gear, I have to protect all my gear, which I brought props, by the way. This is what I'm carrying all day with me on the boat. So anything I can do to prepare to keep that stuff safe. We go out with them, hang out with them, document what they do, learn about what they do. Long days, but it's totally worth it. Then other days, I'm sitting in an office, I'm editing photos, I'm editing videos, I'm working on social media, I'm monitoring social media, to see if there's anything that I can share that's relevant to what we do here. And then we also do other events. So I document kind of event stuff, anything that could be policy worthy. We do stuff with that too. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It's really great. It's good for me because I kind of like the change.
Yep, that makes sense. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Someone asked, what are some of the favorite research stories that you've worked on, and why were those so fun to be a part of?
There's so many. Oh my God. Okay, so a really cool one was a fellow with us. Her name is Cassidy Peterson. She's at the VIMS, the Virginia Institute of Marine Science. She studies sharks. So I went on a long line fishing boat with her and the VIMS crew, and that was like a 12 or 14-hour day. I don't even remember. And we hung out, tagged sharks, and that was just like nothing I've ever experienced. I've never been on a boat like that. Never been that close to such a large marine animal caught right out of the water. So that was amazing. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, we do a lot of projects with coastal resilience as well. So I keep thinking of like this project that we did with Old Dominion University, which was showing the high tide for the future dates of like 2020, 2050, 2080, and 2100. So it was kind of projecting where the sea level rise and the high tides are going to be in those times. So it was like kind of a citizen science based article. So we followed the group with ODU and also like citizen scientists who went out and helped them map in their neighborhoods where the high tide was. And yeah, it's just a nice way to kind of educate people to say like, hey, this is kind of what's coming. We need to be more prepared. We need to, keep working towards, being more resilient as a coastal community.
Yeah,
There's a lot more, but that's the top two that kind of come off the top of my head.
Yeah, absolutely. Those sound amazing. So someone asked if you take pictures in the water. Do you ever actually in the water yourself?
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. Just throw me in anything and I'll go into it. I keep waders in my car. I keep rain boots in the car. Anything I need that I can get in the water, I am there. And I have, I'm very careful with the big boys. They'll go in the water with me, but very shallow waters. And if it's anything else, I'll use something like a GoPro or something that's water protected. And, I can dunk that in the water. That's no problem. So yeah, absolutely. In the water all day.
Perfect. I love this question. Someone asked, what is your advice for someone that wants to eventually get into science communication?
Oh, start doing it now. I mean, it's kind of been a process, I guess, for me to understand how important it is. And I was doing it back in the day, but I just never really realized what a tool it is. Like just social media, for example, is such an important tool. And it's funny because like social media is really good at little like niche communities where like the science community has a huge presence on Twitter. They, everybody's just like really amped up about what people are studying, what they want to share it, and they just want to know. And I think even if it's just shared within the science community and it gets, it can go slightly viral or whatever, that means it's reaching more and more people. So it's crazy to think that this thing like social media can do that, but it is, and it's really important. So I say, if you're doing cool stuff, share it, put it on your social media, have your friends share it, because the more people to know, the better. Did that answer the question?
So, and I think there's another question that comes up that goes along really nicely. Someone asked, how did you learn to tell stories with pictures instead of with words?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, I guess I've always done photography, and working in the photojournalism world and the news world, that's everything. That's everything for me, is just trying to capture that one photo that tells the story without any words. You don't have to read the story. You kind of know what's going on in that image. And so when I realized I kind of wanted to shift towards an environmental field, I never really thought that could happen. Like early on when I was young, I would never have thought like, oh, I could work in nature and like make a difference. But I think it's more important than ever to be doing this kind of stuff, because if people aren't seeing like the effects of sea level rise or the effects of like red disease on American eels, which is like another one of our graduate students is working on that kind of research. Like if people don't see stuff like that, then they're not going to realize it's such a problem. It's only going to be a problem to a couple people, and then it's going to be harder to get results or answers or get it fixed. So I think it's just important for people to see these stories and these issues, and doing it visually is it's just a different way to do it. And it's important because people like me who are visual is, it's helpful, I guess, you know, maybe you don't understand like the science terminology quite as much, but seeing it visually, you might be able to understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that, someone asked, what is an unexpected part of your job that you wish more people knew about or appreciated?
Well, sometimes I kind of think people have no idea what I do, which is funny because I know, and a lot of people around me know, but some people are like, so what do you do? Just take pictures all day? And I'm like, well, kind of, yeah, I do. But there's a lot more that goes into that. And there's a lot, there's just a lot more. Yeah. Oh God, I think I like trailed off there. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that works. Oh, this is a really interesting question, actually.
Okay.
Someone said, so, it's an interesting, I'm just going to pose it and then we can unpack it a little bit.
Okay.
It says,
Work
say
with
for
me, guys.
example, yeah, say for example, you found their example, something really sad. Their example is hundreds of fin sharks. Are you sad about that event happening, or is there some satisfaction because there's the picture opportunity there and you get to share it? Kind of what does that process feel like, I guess, from your side?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really complicated question. I hope I have enough time. It's, it kind of reminds me when I worked with the news and, like sad things happen in the news all the time. And there's a back and forth battle with like ethics and that kind of thing. But I will say ultimately making sure I'm still a decent human and not like exploiting anything or, trying to cause any negative reactions whatsoever. I think it is more important that people see it because that can kind of spark the change. And this is just kind of how I feel. I'm not saying this is how everyone thinks, but I just think if we don't see it, then it's easier to ignore. So things might be able to change a little faster or things might be able to happen if you can visually see it or hear about it through an article.
Yeah, absolutely. And along with that, so someone asked, what do you think are the most important skills for a science communicator to have?
Oh, that's also a good question. I mean, I think be like quick on your feet, because I think when you're out in the field and you have like a lot of stuff on you and it's expensive, you need to be careful, and a little bit of you got to have kind of a solid stomach. You can't you can't get like too queasy or too weird with anything. You kind of have to be like down for whatever, because you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best things. And I would say like just making sure you're not messing up the research, making sure you're not stepping on any toes, making sure you're doing everything like to help your researchers or who you're with feel comfortable and not like you're there intruding on them. That's another kind of big part, I would say.
And so I think this question is really interesting, and especially with your career, it says, do you have to have a strong science background to do your job or to do something kind of like it in your field?
Right. Like I kind of mentioned already, I did not have a strong science background. I was an art major with a concentration in photography. And then my work experience was all journalism. So I started kind of getting a little bit of experience in the science world with the journalism, because we would, cover environmental stories, science stories, anything like that. And that's kind of where I realized I really enjoyed doing these. Out of everything, I wanted to do those just all the time. So that was kind of my transition to realizing like, okay, I think I can slowly transition out of doing just everything journalism into doing one focused field, and I can still make a career out of it. And I'm doing something that I'm a little bit more passionate about and I feel strongly about. So I would, no, I don't think you have to have a really strong background in science to work in the world, because there's a lot of jobs in science that aren't being a scientist. So even if it's not photo, video, people work on social media, there's other marketing jobs, there's writing, which is another huge, huge part of science communication. So there's lots of different outlets that aren't just being a scientist or a researcher or, something along those lines.
I think that is, we're right about at time, and I think that's an amazing spot to stop. Especially, I just want to emphasize again that, yeah, there are so many careers in marine science that don't require, like, if you're passionate about nature and marine science, there are so many options that don't require like the perfect science background or something like that. And this is one of those really amazing careers.
I am
to
a
get to
prime
showcase.
example.
Love that. So with that, just Miss Devlin, thank you so much for being here today and sharing about your career path and your role at VIMS. For all of our attendees around the world, thank you for being here. If you navigate back to the agenda page, you'll have access to all of our other live sessions and interviews and all of those amazing resources that are there on the homepage for you as well. Thanks again to Dominion Energy for supporting this session, and again to all our attendees, we hope to see you on campus when we're open, but we hope to see you again here virtually soon in the meantime. And have a great day, everybody.